And it's been a long time coming, but we can finally do this. Alright, Pankraru. There we go. I was about to say, it's like we're supposed to be able to fish now. So. Give fish. Meanwhile, while we're fishing, I can go through the skills. So, when we start our character, we started with 0 everything. No fitness, no strength, no anything, because we do a 0 to hero build where we're fat, weak, unfit. Well, I say fat. Obese, weak, unfit, and slow healer. So we trained up from literally nothing to where our character stands now. We did work out 2 days in game. That didn't get even us a full point. And that was just because we had a tropical storm, so we had nothing better to do with our time. All the rest of those points you see there came entirely from Smash Zombie. Well, and I guess technically carry stuff. Hey, 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 fishing 3. Alright, Rhetorical says, I'd love to stay, but there's something stupid happening in a PoE stream that I gotta see. See you later. Alright, well, you have fun. And I hope said stupid thing is real entertaining, because I definitely have seen my fair share of entertaining stupid stuff in Path of Exile. Usually people making completely non-viable hardcore builds and trying to make them work anyways, which is always a good time. Alright, so we managed to catch all the fish we're going to catch today, spent the entire day doing it. But that gave us some fishing, so that's good. Oh, I should have planted stuff. Oh well, we're here now, so that is what it is. Someone's going to do a flame dash as a primary skill. Yeah, so I actually saw... Oh, what was it? Oh, ampersand, we're talking about PoE, we're talking about Path of Exile. Yeah, it is one of the things of... You have Path of Exile, Pillars of Eternia, oh, what was the one from, what was the game? Warframe. Warframe also has a PoE. Plains of Eidolon, or however you say it. Oh, abbreviations. But yeah, there was someone in the art league who did totems with Flame Dash as the attack skill on it. And like, it was actually not terrible. It definitely had some serious jank and some serious flaws, but it was like, okay, this is not objectively a bad build. Yep, they put Flame Dash on totems. And so what happens is the totems would flame dash at the enemies. Now, it was weird because they would go a set distance and all that kind of stuff. So again, like I said, it had some serious jank going on with it. But it was fantastic to watch. Why am I still... I should not be adding fuel to this. We have an antique stove. I shouldn't be using this anymore. No, we're actually outside. So, like, I have a little overhang here, but there's no roof on this area. Darkshadow says, whether we like it or not, America is built off other countries' failures. I mean... Yes. Also, sometimes we cause those. But yes. Yep, no, it's no problem. So now we're carrying on our person 24 kilograms of fish. I could use these reasonably, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is just to remember to not do this. I'm going to take these campfire materials. and put them away. It may have been 2020. I thought it was more recent than that, but time has no meaning these past couple of years. So basically, we're going to shovel fish into our mouth as fast as the game will let us until we hit max calories. So we can fix our weight. Alright, Kolo, you sleep well, and thank you for tuning in. Oh, and Kolo on the way out. Getting the push-ups going. So I will get those push-ups and I'll be right back. With Project Zomboid, as far as like, I feel like when you burn out of Project Zomboid, you burn out of Project Zomboid. Yeah, we're just carrying entirely too much fish. We have all the fish on us. Yeah. Minecraft would definitely be a competitor for that spot, because I have had good times with Minecraft and all that. But I don't think I got the playtime I did. Like, I put in a lot of time with Minecraft, but not to the degree I did. Like, Factorio was one of the ones I was thinking, and this is one I burned a lot of time in. Like, that's the thing. The fifth slot is the one I'm going to like him humming all over the place on. All right. So let's see what the weather is when the time switches. Alright, yeah, we're pretty close to sleepy. That's fine. Oh, right, as moving stuff. Yeah, so Factory or Satisfactory, those are strong candidates. Because I'm taking this 100% by the perspective of, okay, you gotta get, like, you got 5 games here that you gotta get your mileage out of. So you're definitely not going to take something like you're not going to take like a Call of Duty kind of game where it's like you play through the story and then the story is done. Like maybe if you're that into competitive shooters, sure. I could see that argument. That'd be a completely reasonable argument. Yeah, City Skylines is definitely up there. Because especially with all the mods you can do. Well, based on the rules that were given, we have an internet connection, so to me that would imply mods are an option. And that was the reasons why RimWorld ranks so high, because it's like, okay, it's got a bunch of replay value, and then on top of that, the modding scene is on point. So that'd be great. And like, I know a lot of people are huge fans of Skyrim and how much modding you can do with that. And Skyrim's fine, like I enjoy Skyrim. I don't think for me though, I would rank Skyrim as high for like a game I can just cash in ridiculous hours in. Should have already had that on. Okay, so according to this, fairly cold day. Yeah. I'm also trying to find games that are a little bit different, Jared. You know what? For number 5, maybe Planet Coaster. I think it's still telling me yesterday's weather, because like it hasn't flipped over yet. Because that's one I could see sinking a lot of times. See, Planet Coaster is one of those games I want to put a ton of time into, but I never quite do. Like, and for me, when I'm saying Planet Coaster, it could be like Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo. Like, it doesn't have to be any specific one, just any of those. Planet Coaster to me has more content, though. But those games to me scratch a lot of the same itch that City Skylines does. just because you can kind of sit there and you can have where you like build the park and you can do all that sort of stuff to, up your bottom line and all that kind of stuff. And you can just sit there and blow away. You can spend an entire day of playing the game just like meticulously pushing, like putting bushes and putting like little artsy things on the wall to like really kind of make it feel real. So like that can be a lot of fun. That's a game I should probably do on stream at some point. Is I should probably do Planet Coaster on stream at some point. So you have Light Fog today. And Light Fog tomorrow. That's fine, whatever. That's fine. They don't have room for any potatoes on my person. Speedlunky wouldn't be bad. You can get some mileage out of Speedlunky. Yeah, for as much as I love Project Zomboid, I don't think I would do like Project Zomboid as like this is one of the only 5 games you can play, because it'd be like, all right, I'll get a lot of time out of it, but when you're done, you're done. Which is one of the reasons why I put Path of Exile up there. Is like they keep updating Path of Exile. It's like, all right, I might grow tired of the game mechanics as are, but at least it's changing constantly. So it gives it a lot of replay value. Alright, so we got our calories up. Now I can just start eating like a normal person versus just shoveling fish into our mouth as fast as the game will allow us. I gotta figure out what I'm doing for dinner not too long. I think I'm just gonna take stuff out of the freezer and, whether it's oven or nuke, I'll have to check, but just heat it up. Rainbow Octavian says, mine would be Minecraft, Path of Exile, Pokemon Emerald, Satisfactory, and probably Elder Scrolls Online. Fair enough. Real life. So one of the things that comes up is there's 4 days a week that my wife is working the second shift. So I could wait for her to get home and then we can figure it out together kind of thing, where she, more than likely that'd be her making dinner, but that doesn't feel fair that she'd be at work all day and then we go, where's food? Like that wouldn't be fair. So a lot of times what I'll end up doing is stepping away from the game for like 5 minutes or so to quickly pop something in the oven, let it heat up, that kind of thing. Like, and that's just kind of a consequence of the timing and that I do the long format stream. Because it basically means dinner time always falls during the stream. And so usually when we're both home, like what we'll do is we'll actually grab dinner before stream. Or she'll just be like, hey, I can make dinner today. It's like, alright. Like, when someone volunteers, that's fine. She, like, if I did that, like, once in a blue moon, she'd probably get a laugh out of it and be fine with it and just make dinner. Like, that would be fine. If I did that on a regular basis, she'd be like... Not that she's the kind of person who gets snippy or whatever. She'd probably be like, no, I think you can manage yourself, or no, I think it's your turn. Like, be fair about it. The person in your life is your partner. If one of you feels like you're taking advantage of the other person, that's not good. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why, like, days that she works, try to make sure to go out of my way to be like, okay, are the dishes done? You know, is the trash out? Like, what can I do to handle stuff at the house? Like, make sure it's taken care of, since I know she's at work for 10 hours. Like, I know, like, I'm doing this on stream right now. Yeah, words. I'm doing this on stream, which this doesn't make any kind of living. Being entirely transparent, this makes no kind of living. But yeah. For the time being, it's what I'm doing while I'm on sabbatical. And then we'll see what I do next. I'm being super duper picky with the recruiters. Which it's also fun being very, very picky with the recruiters and all that. Because anytime they come in, it's like, nah, you know, that's not enough money, you need to do more. Because part of it's like, even if I'm not interested in the job, if I keep sitting there saying, oh no, that's not competitive, come on, pay more. Well, let's be real, man, you're asking way too much. The more they hear that, the more they're going to be like, look, man, we're not able to hire anyone. Like, they're all asking for more money, like, we're going to have to up our offer. So I see it as, even if I don't take the job, I might be helping others get better salaries and all that. And getting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 more a year, even if it's only that, that can be life-changing for people who that's on the fence of, I can afford to live and I cannot afford to live. Like, that takes them from living paycheck to paycheck to being, like, able to actually invest in fixing up their home and their car and doing the kinds of things that help you save money in the long run. Rainbow Octavian says, relationships are about communication, regardless of what kind of relationship. Agreed. It's communication, trust. Trust is huge. Empathy. Agreed, Rainbow Octavian. The old comment, being poor is very expensive. Yep, no, I do get to bully recruiters around. And part of the reason is, like, how many people do you know out there who, one, they're like software developers with over 10 years of experience. On the other hand, they also have teaching experience of, it's not like a full well, actually, is it over 10 years now? I think that actually passed 10 years. My head is going to say 8, but no, I think it's over 10 years now. So, and that's separate experience too. I also have IT experience, but that's fairly less relevant for that particular thing. I also have a lot of experience working with helping people with disabilities and outreach and all that kind of stuff. Public speaking experience. So, it's all those ones that when you start really getting into it. Let me catch up. Let's see. Like, yeah, it works out the less you pay my insurance annually, but I can't afford that. Yep, and Pancrow says, take boots, for example. I earned $38 a month plus allowances. I got a really good pair of leather boots that cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which are sort of okay for a season or two, and then leaked like hell, when the cardboard gave out, cost like $10. Those kind of boots, Vimes always bought. They wore out until the soles were so thin that I could tell that where the, Sorry, I'm having problems. Yeah, so basically it's the, Oh, it's a quote from Discworld? Yeah. But no, it is a real thing that when you go and you look at stuff that you purchase, like, you have kind of this middle quality, that's usually your one that you're getting most bang for the buck. You know, the stuff that generally lasts good amount of time. Then you'll have generally a more expensive one that you're paying just for, like, a title or a luxury or whatever garbage. And then you got like the budget quality, and the budget quality usually just falls apart. If all you can afford is the budget quality stuff, you end up spending so much more. And it's just, unfortunately, the reality is, when you don't have the money to get the nicer stuff, you just don't. So it costs you more in the long run. You're having to replace your stuff because it's breaking faster. I need to be driving slower with all this fog. Oh yeah. Oh, looks like we're getting another crowbar. That means I think I have 3 fresh crowbars between my bags and the car and all that. Should drop some of the... Yeah, I have 2 fresh crowbars in my main bag. I think a 3rd in here? No. Okay, that's fine. I'll leave the 2 crowbars in there just because these last forever. Yeah, no, it is a real thing. And there's people who've done like all the analytics behind it saying, okay, you know, you get a budget car that's been used versus one that's like, not necessarily new, but like not particularly old. That's of a bit of a higher quality, and just how much more mileage versus how much repair you have to go into it. And so, you know, the cheaper car ends up costing so much more than the more expensive one. You know, same with a lot of clothing. And don't get me wrong, there is a point where you go, okay, you're no longer paying for quality, you're now paying for brand recognition. And yeah, that's true. There's absolutely a point where you cross the line where you're not really getting that much of a quality bonus, you're just getting a name. But it's that middle area where it is about the quality of the product that is their main drive for sales. And it's a whole thing, and it's a difficult problem. Like, one practice I personally do not believe should be legal because I find it frustrating. So when you go to grocery stores and restaurants and all those kinds of places and they say, hey, you know, would you like to round up $1 to, you know, support this charity, or will you donate to that charity or whatever? A lot of the times they'll actually take that money and they'll donate it, so that's good. But what ends up happening is they use it for a tax write-off, so now they don't have to pay taxes. Not, well, I mean, they do pay taxes, but they use it to reduce their tax requirement. So effectively, they're just taking your donation to cut their own taxes. And I personally say, you know what, if you want to collect the donations, cool. You don't get to write it off. Like, either I get to write it off or no one gets to write it off, because it's not your money you're donating. You're donating my money. Because I fully believe people should pay whatever taxes they're obligated to pay. You know, taking care of people shouldn't be on charity. It should be something we do. Yeah, those are the kinds of loopholes that I have no patience for. Plus, and on top of that, half the time you look at the charity they're doing, and it's some charity that the company has. So I'm just going to call it, like, Bob's Store. It'll be like, Bob's Store's, you know, like, Bob's Store's, you know, give, like, Children's Foundation or whatever. You're like, I don't know if your charity's any good. Your charity's probably crap. That just everything gets caught up in overhead. You know, versus, like, they're going to some, like, reputable group, like Kids Play or something. Yeah, and that's what happens. It's like, oh, we took these donations, 90-something% of it gets skimmed off the top to deal with, you know, quote-unquote, administration. Alright, Pankraro, you sleep well. Hey, Elgoso, not much. Just zombies. But yeah. No, so that kind of like abuse of charity I'm not a fan of. It's, you know, if I'm contributing to charity and you're willing to facilitate me doing that, you don't get to write off the taxes. Like, I don't care if I'm not allowed to, but like it needs to be like a non-profit kind of thing. Plus, it's also super annoying to have people constantly, every single time you go to the place business, go, hey, would you like to whatever for charity? It's like, no, I know exactly what you're going to do with that money. You're using that to write off your taxes. I'll donate to charity directly. No, I understand, Elgoso, and you are correct. That non-profit doesn't mean, quote, like, non-profit is very profitable for certain people. Like, I get that. It's the whole using charity specifically for purposes of tax write-offs, where you collect the charity money from your customers, that I'm like, no, that's not a thing. Oh yeah, no, I get it's not staff. Like, so one of my earlier jobs was working retail, and one of the things that I was required to do was I was required to sit there and go, oh, would you like to use your, and I'm not going to say the name of the company, but would you like to use your whatever card? Which was a credit card that had an absolutely absurd interest rate. I think, like, by default it was like 27% APR. And then if you missed a payment, I heard it got as bad as like 32%. Like, they actually had to change the terms on the card because they made laws saying that you couldn't have interest rates that high. It was that high. But we were expected that a certain percent of our sales would be on, you know, blank card. And if a certain percent weren't, you know, we were supposed to not get in trouble, but, like, you know, get an earful. Yeah. And at the time it was like there was 3 different versions of the card that we gave you. There was the one just for the store, and I think that one was the one that was at like 20-something%. Or no, I think that was the one at 27%. There was like a MasterCard that was like 22%, and then there was some other card that no one could ever qualify for ever. That was lower, but it didn't matter because no one could ever qualify for it, so it might as well not exist. Just keeping an eye on the time to figure out when I gotta pop something in the oven for when the wife gets home. But yeah, so it was one of those things that came up that you were supposed to get in trouble if you didn't get enough people to sign up. And it got to the point what would happen is if you're getting towards the end of your month and you knew your numbers weren't good, you would bully people into it, like outright bully people into it. And it was funny because it's kind of thing that I was warning my boss, like, you know, if we keep doing this, we're not going to have customers. And it got to the point that there was a cashier who, you know, realized that she should, because you got a cut when someone signed up the credit card. You got like $15 or something like that. So she pushed the credit cards hard, like to an obnoxious level. And she had the highest signups for credit cards, like hands down the highest, because people didn't want her to keep harassing them. But it would get to the point that when it came to ringing up, and we were on commission, or in my department, that people would actively avoid the main cash register in the store and go, hey, you know, what's her face is over there at the main cash register. I just want to check out over here. I don't want to deal with her. Like, she had become known it was that big of an issue. And there was one point where my boss came to talk to me because my numbers were below when it came to the credit card. Like, all my other numbers, I blew everything out of the water. I was one of the, you know, best salesmen for the least number of returns, high units on sales, you know, repeat customers, all that kind of stuff. But my credit card numbers were terrible because I would ask, because I was obligated to do so by the company, and that was it. I would ask you once, and I'd leave you alone. So my numbers weren't as good. But he tried to say something. I'm like, here's the deal. Like, I can sell your products or I can sell your credit cards. I can't do both because these two things are incompatible with each other. It's like, and I will not, like, I will not pressure someone to getting a credit card that I ethically do not agree with. Because, like, it's 100% like that. It was one of the worst credit cards I'd ever seen so far as, like, interest rates and all that. Like, there's no, like, rewards or anything. I think they gave you, like, $5 off your transaction or whatever when you got the credit card or whatever. And that was the perk. And that sometimes the store would do promotions where you could save a couple of bucks if you used the card. But even then it was so rare and it's usually on only specific goods. Did I forget to put gas in it? I mean, it's okay. I keep 2 extra tanks of gas on it and I have a spare vehicle up here. So, if that is the case, it's actually not that bad. I came prepared. You're right. I am low on gas. That's why I always keep gas cans. And I think this vehicle might actually have 2 gas cans as well as I have a generator at the gas station here as well. So I have over prepared for gas. Oh yeah, I forgot how large this thing's gas tank is. Was there a zombie in the back? I thought I saw a zombie right here. Could be just my eyes playing tricks on me, though. I'd rather be sure and not have this be a problem later. Okay, it wasn't a zombie. It was my eyes playing tricks on me. Probably like a shadow moved and just looked like a head or something. Right, Dwayne the John Roxon, cashing in 10 push-ups. That works out. Because I think I am at that point. I need to, okay. That's kind of weird to, like, restart your car. Alright, I don't even remember half what was going on other than it was foggy, and I hate fog. And we need gas, because I remember we're low on gas. Alright, so we're at Partard. And yes, you can add mods to play with your friends. When you set up the server, there'll be like a drop-down box. There'll be like what mod should be on the server. And you can add your mods there. And then when people go to join your server, it'll go, hey, this server is running, you know, mods X, Y, and Z. To play on the server, you need to get these mods. Do you want to download these mods? And you say yes, or whatever the verbiage is. But when you hit yes, it'll automatically pull the mods. Because it's so foggy, I'm not going to drive... Wait, we already drove around here. That's right. I forgot that there's fog, and I am not a fan of fog. So anyways, I'll go ahead and catch people up on what's happening in this run. So this is a 16x pop, multiple helicopters, no respawn runs. What that means is we have the settings in this game set to the absolute maximum number of zombies that Project Zomboid supports without mods. As you probably heard me mention earlier, we know there's at least 900-something thousand zombies on the map total, but that was before the Louisville update, which added a whole extra city that's the highest density the game has ever seen. So our guess is that we're probably closer to 1.2, 1.3 million zombies on the entire map. And our intention is to kill them all. To that end, we have completely cleared the city of... Oh, I can get the to-do list up. We have fully cleared the city of Akron. We have cleared the country club. We have cleared the factory area south of Riverside. We've made real good progress in Riverside. We've probably killed more than 10,000 zombies in Riverside alone. But we're still working at it. So this is 100% a marathon run. It's going to take us multiple in-game years, of which we just got past our first winter. As you can see, we survived 8 months, 7 hours at this point. The character I ran, or am running, is what we refer to as a 0 to hero build. So when I start with 0 fitness, 0 strength, 0 combat skills, 0 carpentry skills, like nothing. This whole sheet here is completely empty when I start the character. So we start weak, obese, unfit, and slow healer. And then we just kind of keep playing the character until we get stronger and stronger. And to that end, we've managed to get ourselves to 33,000 zombie kills. And we're doing pretty solid. And if anyone has any questions about Project Zomboid, by all means ask. If I have newer players who are like, hey, could you give us any, like... Would you say I am good at this game? No, I'm terrible. No, it's, I definitely am pretty good at the game. I will certainly say there are people I would personally say are better at me than the game. Don't ask me to name them just because then I have to think and I don't want to. But there's definitely a bunch of really solid players on Project Zomboid, like Royal with Cheese is solid, Mr. Lamprey UK is real solid. The Jacks, Mr. Nice Gamer are solid. Not So Hot Toddy is definitely decent. There's many more. Like I am missing a lot of names there. Oh yeah. Yep. And to clarify, when people are starting this game and they go, oh, like I'm dying in my first couple of hours or my first 2 or 3 days, that's normal. For as much as like I just wreck house, stop it, zombie. As much as I just wreck house and live for a real long time, like I 100% when I started that game died. When I say in the dozens of times, I mean literally in the dozens of times, just trying to get runs off the ground. Like everyone starts that way. And like by all means, watching streams and seeing how other people play and having them give you pointers will help you get quite a bit more success early on. And I didn't do that when I was playing. It's just Project Zomboid wasn't the game I was watching on stream at that time. But it is definitely a game that takes a little adjusting to, mostly because of the isometric layout. Like that, isometric is always difficult for people. I would say of the different camera angles that games use, it's the hardest for people to adjust to. And it does have, by its nature, some compromises. Oh, one thing I guess I should do, for people who are newer to the game, let me go ahead and go through the walkthrough of like just new game kind of stuff. Before you get anywhere in the game, before you do anything else in the game, here's some things you can do to make yourself in a little bit better situation. Hit escape, go to your options, go to your display tab. Now, thank you for the follow. Cryus, funny, welcome to the stream. So one of the first things I'll recommend is if your game's starting to have performance issue, especially if it's when you've survived for a while and a whole bunch of stuff's going on, you've killed a bunch of zombies, and you start going, my frame rate's really getting kind of crap. What's going on here? This setting, blood decals, I highly recommend turning it down very low or to none if you're having performance issues. What this is every time you kill a zombie, it puts a little blood splatter on the wall. You know, cool aesthetic, kind of makes it interesting, but they never go away. And so the more and more zombies you kill, the more and more blood splats, the more and more textures the game has to load, it eventually becomes a performance issue. And Gursley Bear, thank you for the follow, welcome to the stream. And Token HP, thank you for the follow, welcome to the stream. The next setting I'd change, and I believe this is default now, it didn't used to be, but just in case it's not because I haven't verified it, is the ISO cursor visibility. Turn that up to 50 or 75%, and I will explain to you what that is in a minute. Just bear with me. Is 16 pop similar to insane pop? No. So insane pop is, I believe, 6x pop when you reach peak pop. So once you've reached day 28, then you're talking 6 times pop. So just what I'm playing is just a little bit shy of 3 times as many zombies. The next thing I'd consider, and this one's kind of a preference thing, is show mouse cursor while aiming. All that does is your cursor won't disappear when you're holding right mouse button. Losing track of your cursor will absolutely get you killed in this game. Some people like it, some people don't, but that's you know, something to consider. And then the last one, and probably the most important one, is when you start, aim outline will be on ranged weapons. I 100% would encourage you to go with any weapon. And I'll show you what that is in a second as well. All the other settings, not as important. So like, I'd do that. So, the ISO cursor visibility, if you see this little circle with this line on it when I hold down my right mouse button, that's where my character is aiming. That's the ISO cursor. And today's actually a perfect example, because it is stuff like fog and mild rain that can make that thing really hard to see when it's, you know, 10% transparency. So you want to make sure you can see that bad boy no matter what you're doing, because losing track of your mouse will 100% get you killed. Now you see how the zombie has the green outline on them? That's because I actually have that aim outline turned on. And also because I have nimble more than 2, this zombie's going to grab for me, and he'll never catch me. But that tells me what zombie I'm going to hit and that it's in range. And that's very useful both for the point of when you're new to the game, some weapons, the range you might think they're going to hit isn't the range they actually hit. And so missing can be dangerous, especially when you have low nimble skill. But the other thing that's helpful is just being able to like know which zombie you're going to hit, because there's times that the game will make decisions on what zombie should be hit that you might disagree with, and you have no way of knowing until you get there. And also, if you see this green outline, it goes through objects. So like that vehicle where it's obscured, you can see that. Actually, so I do play on a, what is it, 3890, but the GPU isn't the concern, it's your CPU. Project Zomboid is primarily a CPU-intensive game. Not that it doesn't use your GPU, but it is primarily your CPU that hits, because there is a lot of simulation happening behind the scenes. So it's running your CPU pretty hard. Because, you know, it's deciding what food rots, what temperatures things are, like where items are located, you know, all the different like you have a sheer ridiculous number. Yep, RimWorld is the exact same way. RimWorld does like negligible GPU hit, but your CPU, RimWorld can absolutely melt once you know, not literally melt, but it hits your CPU hard when you start getting to really high pops or really big raids. Not that a GPU doesn't help, but that's like the secondary performance concern. Another pro tip is let me aggro these 2 zombies. Or just one. So, if we push over the zombie real fast. Come on. You can stand in zombies. And while you're standing in a zombie, that zombie can't hurt you. I run out of solid. You know what? I'm gonna have myself a snack. We're a little hungry. Let's have ourselves a snack. Let's go have some fish. Don't worry, zombie, we'll get to you. So as you can see, this zombie, not a threat. I'm going to kill it now because it's loud and annoying. That's also true if other zombies stand on top of it. Hey, Cog3D, how's it going? So yeah, that's good to know. And that's the reasons why when we fight the zombies, generally speaking, I want them to line up as if they're queuing to like get an autograph or something as best I can. Because, if I don't one-shot it by hitting in the head immediately, if I knock one of these zombies over, like I said, alright, well they're not cooperating at the moment, but if I knock over one of these zombies, the other zombies will basically just trample over them. It doesn't hurt them, but what will happen is as long as the zombies are trampling over each other, that zombie is taken out of the fight until it finds a gap that it can stand back up in. So, generally speaking. Let's see. Red Slaw says, does full screen versus window mode have an effect on performance as well? That I don't know specifically for the purposes of Project Zomboid. Generally speaking, when you're talking a GPU-intensive game, the answer is yes. When you're talking a CPU-intensive game, the answer is usually no as far as on a meaningful level. On a technical level, probably yes, but technical doesn't matter. Oh, I broke that too? Okay. That's why we carry extra weapons with us. And thank you for the follow, Red Sloth. Welcome to the stream. Low-key also, spears are very, like, it's disputed, but they're very meta. Like, long blades can absolutely slaughter zombies faster than anything else until you get the super high levels. But spears absolutely destroy zombies. The one caveat is they break super easy. That said, I just use what spears I find. I don't make them, so I don't, like, cheese them. And you will see me getting away with lots of stuff. This is a very combat experienced character. I have lots of nimble. So don't try and perfectly match what's happening, because nimble allows you to get away with you shouldn't be able to. And you saw how I backed off there. That was because the zombies had lined up horizontally. When you do that, if you don't have multi-hit on, it's time to back off, because you'll hit one, they'll get knocked back, and then the two friends will just close in on you and just, you know, bad things happen. So yeah, like that you don't want to fight that. This you do want to fight. So like lining up towards you, good. Lining up perpendicular to you, bad. So like that, if I didn't have nimble, I wouldn't want to do it. But I have lots of nimble, so I can get away with BS I shouldn't be allowed to get away with. Like low-key, when you're looking at your stats, nimble is probably your best stat. How do you put multi-hit on? When you first start the game, on your world settings, multi-hit is one of your choices. For example, if you start the game on Survivor difficulty, multi-hit will be turned on. If you start your game on Apocalypse, it will be turned off by default unless you change it. And you change that by going into Sandbox mode as opposed to just choosing Apocalypse or whatever. Like for people new to the game, I would just choose, it doesn't matter, Survivor or Apocalypse. Like either's fine. Choose one of the default settings, play a little, see how you like it. Then make some changes. Because that is one of the powers of this game, is you can customize almost everything. I believe Apocalypse is considered the harder difficulty, if I recall correctly. Because like it doesn't have multi-hit. I think it has higher population as I recall. And Survivor's the easier one. That said, for when you're talking, most people talking about playing Project Zomboid and they're talking like default difficulties, usually the baseline is Apocalypse that they're basing off of. So like when I describe these runs, usually I'll say I'm running Apocalypse, except I have 16 times zombie population, no respawn, and multiple helicopters, is how I describe it. Yeah, don't get me wrong, multi-hit does make things way easier. I will also say one of my concerns with multi-hit is it does tend to make you sloppy about certain things you do. So it can cause you to form bad habits. So like we're talking about where you see like the three zombies side by side, that's a very dangerous situation that can get you in trouble. And with multi-hit, you'll run up and try and hit that, and it'll be just a little too far apart. And then you go and you make your swing, you'll miss, and then bad things happen. Yes. If you already have a game started, and you want to change settings, I believe there's a mod to do that. However, by default, you either have to go like into files and change them, which I couldn't tell you about because I've not done it, but I know it is a thing you can do, or you have to start a new save. And then this is why I do jump, because like when you first start the game, it's like you're struggling to find your first generator, the generator magazine, that stuff. But once you get past that phase of the game, where you know you've got several generators, I do like to just chuck generators at gas stations and leave them behind, fueled up and everything. That way if I'm ever away from home and I run out of gas or run low on gas, I can just go and grab, which is exactly what we did here. I was low on gas, so I was like, alright, well let's just top off. Because basically I left home the last time and forgot to fuel up. Do be careful driving over bodies. They don't damage your car directly. Like, hitting these aren't hurting my tires or suspension or anything. But if you drive too fast over corpses, you can catch some serious air. And losing control of your vehicle can and will get you killed. And generally speaking, when you start getting tired or exerted, you want to try and back out of a fight. You'll see me push it a little bit. I really probably shouldn't, but it is a very severe penalty. Oh, no respawn isn't for me, it's for the zombies. Every time I kill a zombie with no respawn, that's one less zombie in the world forever. And that's because our goal is we've put the population of the absolute maximum possible, with the intention of basically killing the maximum possible number of zombies where there is a limited number of zombies. And so far, every single zombie kill has been counted by me, with the exception of about 18 or so, which were driving around in the dark, zombie standing in the road, didn't see it, you know. Not much you can do. Yeah, it is permadeath for the zombies. Yes, the game is normally permadeath. So the way the game works is you can play it like it's roguelike or roguelite. You as the player get that choice. If you want to play it roguelike, that is, every time you die, everything starts over. You have nothing, like there's no progression, there's no continuation. It is a fresh start. You make a new world when you die. That's the way I play, and I know a lot of people play that way. There's also people who play it like it's roguelite, which is basically I'll build a base and everything, and when I die, I will make a new character in the same world and continue my playthrough. And it's fine. I personally prefer the roguelike thing, because for me, once my base gets properly, you know, fortified, I can live there for basically ever without worries if I so chose. The game gets a little bit slower in my opinion. Like the hard part's done at that point. So I like the roguelite or roguelike approach just because it requires me to, you know, continue to do that. Sorry, I was wishing my wife a good night. At first she was standing there. I'm like, no, you're like allowed to come over here if you'd like, because she did yesterday, but she didn't want to. I was like, all right, whatever. And because our fish is stale, it's not helping our hunger as much, which is fine, because we just want those sweet, sweet calories. She's waiting for a 50K followers to do a face reveal. Well, no, she actually came in here yesterday. She popped in here for a minute, like when she went to head to bed. So like at first I thought she was gonna do the same thing, but she kind of like just hovered over there for a minute, like, all right, I don't, you like you can come over here, like that's okay. But nah, she was just wishing me a good night. All right, so we're killing time now because we're sleepy. For what game on yours? For what game on yours? Oh no, I mean she was like literally standing here next to me, if that's what you're asking. I'm sorry. Oh, face reveal? No, no, she was here, like it wasn't a big thing. Like just the same thing. Like I hopped on stream on camera for the first time yesterday, and I didn't warn anyone I was going to do it because one, I didn't know I was actually going to do it. I was trying to get things set up to do it eventually, and I'm like, oh well, I've got pretty much everything set up. I can just do it. So I didn't make like a big thing. It's like, today we're going to reveal my face. We hopped on stream and people were like, oh, there's a webcam now.